How's it going, guys? It's Mr. Lone Wolf, and today, to be honest, I've just been messing around with this thing. Is it called the S-Type 100 Arnie? We'll just call it Arnie. Yeah, it's a pretty massive truck, as you can see. It's a lot bigger than the old goddamn horsepower vehicle. First issue that I don't like is the steering. It's one of those again where, if I'm steering right as we look at it, obviously left if I'm in the truck, it does that opposite lock thing first, and it's generally pretty slow. So, as you can see, it's probably pretty much a second. If I turn right as we're looking at it, it's probably about a second before it starts turning right. So if you're trying to do little minor adjustments, like you just want to miss a tree that you're about to clip on the right, so you steer left, it'll obviously apply right hand steering first and you'll hit the tree. So that's been a bit of a pain. The only way that it kind of doesn't make it feel as bad as, for example, like that freight line, what was it, the M191 or whatever, that felt pretty broken with the same problem. Because this thing is just slower in general, it doesn't bite it as much, but it definitely is a bit of a shame. I wish the steering wasn't like that. I honestly don't understand how that mechanics of steering made it into the game, and I don't believe it's this modder. I assume they've just added like SnowRunner steering to it, but there's obviously, I don't know, like, I can't see it being on purpose. I can't for the life of me see why you would make a truck steer the opposite way first. It just doesn't make sense. But yeah, we'll go for a little drive in it. To be honest, these clips are a bit just chopped and added together. There's not, I probably won't do a full review on it. Part of the issue is it's pretty massive. That's what she said. Trying to fit it like in various places that I do with the reviews is one thing. But yeah, for the most part, I mean, I'm going to go for a drive round. I'm on Erskine River at the minute. Just cut over, like, it's at least super snow going out the garage, and it ticked along there pretty nicely. This is like obviously a little icy section. It just about sits, like the front bumper sits high enough. Considering the size of the truck, it's not got insane ground clearance. Like if you actually look at the ground clearance of the loaf, this thing isn't even twice the ground clearance of the loaf. And clearly like it's about 10 times the size of it. So yeah, it could do with being a little bit higher. I believe the suspension, there's stock, and then there's stock, like, it's like soft front suspension, but given the fact that you can clip the bumper and all the rest of it, I just left the stock one on because I'd rather the front have stiffer suspension than if you bob down a little hill or whatever. I don't really want more suspension travel that will lower my nose any more than it needs to go. But again, it's still like enough ground clearance compared to a lot of the other vehicles, given the fact that this thing is clearly a lot bigger than the other vehicles. See, that steering there, basically, when you apply the steering, not only does the opposite turn, but then by the time you get the steering that you want, the direction you want, it's obviously added quite a lot. And then when you let go of the steering, it takes fairly long, really, to centre it again. So there, you just seen, I steered way too sharply to the right, because I had to hold it on for that long just to get any right steering, and then, yeah, I couldn't get it off in time. So, I mean, it's one of them. This was, like, obviously when I was pretty much first driving it, so I got a little bit more used to it throughout the night, but overall I just don't like that mechanic that it steers the opposite way. So this is at that warehouse in Erskine River. I was just eyeballing around seeing if I could jump off here, and it stayed relatively flat. It made it down. I don't really know why the blue loaf unpacked, because the others didn't. So yeah, I'm not sure. Obviously it was pretty damn close to the limit if that one did and the others didn't. But yeah, as you can see with the back, obviously I could fit, well, 3 loafs on with that. There's another add-on thing that's like that little back ramped bit is a bit more flat and all the rest of it. I probably could have put 2 loafs, to be honest, just behind those ones. I think they'd fit, so easy 4 loafs. In this setup I've got, there also appears to be some supplies on the roof, but I'm pretty sure later on in one of the clips, like, you'll see I didn't have those little supplies on the roof. You don't add them as like a roof rack. I think it came with this like back cargo bay thing that's on the truck. Where I'm driving now as well is kind of like through the pretty much death snow. I did that orbital velocity mission yesterday, I think, and I got stuck in the zicks in that snow. It also runs over those immovable trees pretty well, because obviously the tyres are so massive. This is down at the logging station. Like I said, I apologise, it's a bit of a sort of just janky, smashed together clips really. I didn't really have any fluency or order to them. It was just, to be honest, I had more footage than I thought. I probably had 3 or 4 hours at least of footage, so I've just kind of clipped little bits to highlight like how well it is. I mean, there it was climbing over some rocks and stuff. This is going down that little awkward sort of S-bend as you go down to the quarry on Erskine River. But yeah, overall, I mean, it's pretty fun. I'd definitely say it's worth getting the mod and giving it a go. It doesn't take up loads of memory. I mean, it's a little bit. You can see it kind of make the amount of memory you've got kind of notch up. But yeah, it's not as bad as those Kenny trucks, man. They're like, I've drove the 6-wheel Kenny, but I'd like to drive the 10-wheel Kenny, but then I have to turn the 6-wheel Kenny off and all that. Yeah, it's like the amount of memory that they take is just insane. So yeah, well, I don't know if I'll do a video on them or not. At the minute, I'd like to just drive the bloody thing first. But I'll have to go into my thing, sell the Kenny back, load back to the main menu, turn 6-wheel Kenny off, turn 10-wheel Kenny on and load it. Yeah, it's just a bit of a faffing around pain in the arse, to be honest. Again, it'd be nice by now if they added more saves. Like, we've got 4. Yeah, 10 would be nice, because then I could just make another save, stick Kenny on his own separate one, and go from there. But yeah, this is a little drive around the quarry. And again, as you can see, I mean, some pretty fat rocks it climbs over with no issues. All the sort of super snow and death snow, it kind of nullifies that to a degree, which is actually pretty nice, because again, I don't feel like it represents snow anyway. This roadblock was still there at the quarry. As I got to the top of the hill, I was like, well, floor it. There is rarely a situation that can't be solved with more speed, and in that case it worked. Roadblock, schmodblock, we got over it. Collect that mission. We'll go and do it one day. Yeah, I thought this was a good little excuse though to go driving around. See what I mean though? Like there, it's got a very sharp front bumper. It does, like, the middle bit looks like it's kind of got a little slope, but I don't know. You catch those corners like quite a lot, and yeah, the ground clearance isn't as big as the vehicle would suggest. But like I said, because it is bigger, a lot of the obstacles and terrain in general has obviously been made for smaller vehicles, so it's almost like you've just shrunk everything on the map. So in that sense, it still handles quite a lot. And again, these are more of these immovable trees. Kind of, yeah, sort of rams it. So I mean, it's sort of half glitching through it, but I don't care. As long as it can force its way through, then that's a win in my book. So it got through that little bit. And again, with the steering, one good thing I will say about it is once you are full lock, when it's finally kicked in, it has actually got a very nice sharp turning circle for the size of the truck. They could definitely have made it a lot worse than that. And again, with those trees, I got caught on them as well in that. Or, well, my truck didn't, my Zix didn't, it was the bloody trailer. But which, if this thing had the ramped flatbed, they may well get hooked on those trees, and I don't think this thing's going to be able to rip it over them anyway. It just sort of glitches into them almost. Climbs up this hill though. It's fun. Well, I stall now in high, so I put it into low. Look how terrible the low range gear is. I'm flooring it now. I was like, what? What's going on? Put it in auto. It's literally, it's the same gear. It's just a rev cap, and it doesn't give you enough revs with this truck when you're in low range to do anything. It's yeah, pretty bad. Again, I do think you get some kind of tiny, whether it's a grip bonus or just some kind of bonus when you go into the low ranges, but just with how this truck's geared or whatever, and that being just single low range, it really doesn't like it, so you won't be using that a lot. And if you do, I'd suggest, yeah, just stick to auto, because diffs are always on, etc, so you ain't really gaining anything, you just half in your rev limit. Running over these bales, again, just messing around. This was the field in Black River, next to the farm. I was just about to go and smash into the trees, but while I was on my way past, I figured I'd go and see. And again, I mean, quite a lot of trucks get stuck in that. That was actually, like, probably super mud, I'd call that. That was, for a lot of us, like, our first taste of super mud, really, because there was a little CK 1500 sort of half drowned in there that you had to go and rescue. And other trucks can drive through it, but just very slowly. Whereas, again, this truck's just so tall that, yeah, it can't bite into enough of the wheel to try and have a serious effect on it. Knocking trees down, unsurprisingly, very good at hitting them. You don't even notice like a reduction in speed, but it was taking a bit of engine damage. More than, well, the Dolphin doesn't take any damage. There's a few that new Zix, I think that took barely any, or was it the Cat CT? One of them did, like, I think it only took 1 or 2 damage doing all 10 trees. But yeah, I mean, it eats them for breakfast. Of course, I had to know, there's a floating log in the air, that's my flight log. Got to record these things. Yeah, I tipped the thing over, which was not easy in its own right. And I was given it, I mean, this was literally just, I've flipped every mod truck I've ever tried to flip with a loaf, because it's a goddamn horse of a vehicle. but I almost don't count them because some of them are weighted weird and they don't flip very easily and they just drag along the floor and all sorts. So that was just more to see if it was like what even the tipping mechanics were. So I had a little P16 as a wedge there. But then yeah, I went and tipped it again here and stuck it behind a lamppost, which is a more sort of normal situation. I have used truck wedges before. Truck wedges are very good. I'll get into that later why they're so handy. But yeah, this was just lining them up to show you. I mean, obviously it does sit taller than the loaf. To be fair, its wheel is literally the height of the loaf. But yeah, the ground clearance isn't crazy. Like, it's not even double the loaf, and obviously the loaf is tiny. Yeah, here's look. Well, I've stuck my head out the window. I'm inside the tyre, doing a little tyre inspection, make sure there's no nails or anything stuck in there. But yeah, well, I mean, you can tell the tyre's taller because I'm looking up at it. There's some seriously fat leaf spring on it as well, and it's got chained, which is pretty cool. And I'll admit, some of this video does kind of devolve into me seeing what I can get up to with the loaf and this truck, rather than like a specific review of this truck. But for me, anyway, I gotta know these things. So since that's kind of all I've been up to today, figured I may as well leave some of the results in. I mean, again, the loaf is going in. When he wants to get under, he's getting under. I think this is like actual footage of what it must have been like for Andre the Giant to have sex. What I needed to know was, can my loaf carry it in an emergency situation, of course. Wouldn't really want to be doing this as an everyday thing. So I've got a winch to the back of this Arnie truck, and I'm kind of winching the loaf underneath. Again, if I'd taken the roof rack off, it probably would have helped, but when I was testing it out now, and two, if I didn't have the roof rack on the loaf, I don't know, but it might just about touch the floor once he's fully under there. So anyway, took a little bit of effort, but we got him. He's officially not touching the floor. The loaf's feeling the strain. I admit, it's a good job he had his Weetabix today, because it's straining on his little suspension. I think his rear wheel at some point starts facing us, which, there you go, that can't be healthy. But he's got a repair kit. To be honest, this was the same problem I had when I put the colob on the roof of the loaf. Like, the floor then becomes non-existent. Look, his wheels just go through the floor, and I can't really help that. I can't overcome that. I've been thinking, like, can I try this on a trailer? I haven't done it yet. I might do. Or I was looking at the roof of the garage. I need some surface where it doesn't just punch your vehicle through the floor. Got a moral support loaf just to for a bit of encouragement. There was a small time there. I mean, he's pretty much moving it now on his own anyway. He's not winched to anything. So yeah, goddamn horse. See, can even prove ghosts exist. Goddamn professional. This was a little drive again on Black River, kind of going through this bit. There's the fuel station to the left, and I was going to ramp over these barriers. By the way, it doesn't like water very much. Water seriously slows it down, if not stops it. If you're just driving through water like that, it won't stop. You'll see what I mean in a minute. Again, yeah, I mean, them barriers, apologies, there's a little glitch there, but barriers it eats for breakfast. The wheels are just so massive that it barely even notices them. Yeah, when I head to this water now, the current is going from like the right to the left. So I'm essentially going to try and drive against the current a bit. And you'll see, as soon as I hit the water, I slow down quite a lot anyway. I'm still in a higher gear, but if I went down to first gear, it won't climb any higher in water. And now I'm stopped dead. You can see from my revs I'm flooring it. But yeah, it's having none of it. So I kind of looped around to the top, so I was going to drive with the current. Again on Black River, this is where you rescue that, what's it called, Kodiak C70 or whatever, which again for a starter truck is not too bad. So just had to check I could run it over though. You gotta know these things, and it did a pretty good job. Just giving it a service. I mean, I have to say these are a pretty big pair of shoes for my loaf, but he likes them. It's like his new hiking boots. And in areas like this, obviously the steering you can afford to be like, it doesn't really matter if it's dodgy steering or anything. So I was liking these kind of areas a lot more tonight than, yeah, very sort of technical twisty path. If you're having to cut down a road that's between trees and all the rest of it, one, this thing's pretty massive, so yeah, you got to try and get it down that lane, but the steering's so erratic that, yeah, you'll be hitting a lot of trees. There's no two ways about it. I'm gonna look. Just got my head out. Try again. It's about 8-0 to me now. Yeah, I mean, as usual, scuba loaf. I mean, just to look at my loaf. His snorkel is higher than this. That's what a goddamn professional he is. But it's got some pretty tall snorkels. They're about as high as the roof. But I have done this journey with dolphin and loaf. I believe it's near the start of the loaf review. The only review YouTube really needed. But this thing is clearly pretty tall. I could have gone deeper. Yeah, tell me what she said. And there's a engine part there. That's why I originally cut through with dolphin and loaf. As far as the cargo goes, it's pretty interesting. I can fit 6 lots of cargo on here, and I thought, oh, it would just put them like side by side. It wouldn't let me add that drilling thing for some weird reason. It said trailer can't fit it. Basically, it kind of stacks the cargo of half inside each other. Like, that's 6 lots of service spare parts, but yeah, they're like the first one. You can sort of see from the spacing of the ratchet straps. There they are, those 6. Which is pretty cool. I don't really care how they make it work. The fact that it can hold 6 is that'll do. So I went to the cliffs to test a few things out. Jumped off there, but I landed it. So I kind of again wanted to roll it really. I ended up just recovering from this, but as usual, sent the loaf off, and he made it. But his engine is killed a lot easier now because yeah, he's got that top engine which is 70 health, not 170, so it's nearly 3 times weaker basically. So yeah, flew off the cliff again, and this time I think that's pretty safe to say that is officially rolled. Horse is going in. Bam! He makes it. When doesn't he make it? And I had a go at doing this. I honestly think now, knowing what I know now, because you'll see as the video keeps going, I reckon I could do it like this, but I'd have to sit there for longer on the winch. So as I'm hoovering now, I always call it hoovering, like pulling the winch in, but I don't know. It's easy and quick to say. Yeah, I can get locked in this point now, and if I sat here long enough on the winch, I actually think it would be able to flip it, but I now stop, and then I was winching to other bits and blah blah blah. In the end, brought the dolphin. I didn't like where the dolphin landed, so I recovered it. That's why the loaf's already there. Brought the dolphin back. Notice how the loaf didn't even take 1 bit of damage then. I'd already damaged the loaf a bit from the previous run, but hit him there, didn't take any damage. The dolphin didn't fare so well. And you see, switch back to the loaf. He's got his engine up in the air because it needs fixing. It's just making it easier for the mechanic, which is himself, of course. Fix the engine, he's good to go. Again, goddamn professional. Yeah, the reason why I brought Dolphin down, because I wanted to do the wedge thing. Again, just trying out, like, I hadn't tried flipping this thing from its roof at this point. And it's not the easiest thing, like, if you just got it in the yard to flip on its roof in the first place, I was using its winch points. Basically, when I was using the Dolphin as a wedge, that's what was happening. The Dolphin kept tipping, so I had an idea to bring a crane, because I can spread the legs. Yeah, look, flew off there. I don't know how the hell I missed it, but literally just stabbed the crane in the floor like a dart. I was looking around like, oh, well, that was not quite expected. Pretty happy with the results, though, I'm not going to lie. And again, the dolphin didn't even take any damage. Stabbed in like a beauty and sat there. And long story short, I was eating at that time. Well, just pretty much cooked my dinner as I stabbed the dolphin into the floor. Just as I was eating the last chip, it fell. I was going to rescue it with the old the horse. The horse did rescue it anyway, but this is why I brought the dolphin with the crane on, because I wanted to extend the crane legs and then also use the crane as a bit of a counterweight. And the reason why a wedge works well is because it's best shown in my Azov Dolphin review, the 5319 or whatever it's called. I flip it at the quarry, and the Taiga couldn't flip the dolphin and the trailer and the cargo. Yeah, and if I used like the loaf as a wedge for the Taiga, it still wouldn't do it. But the loaf, I don't know, when it's backed up against the truck, it just has a lot of pulling power, a lot more than a truck does. So yeah, for example, the Dolphin on its own would not flip this. No way, there's just not enough grip. Yeah, I edited about a minute out there. I could see the tyres raising very slowly, but it's taking a little while. So there you go. Goddamn horse, he gets it done when none of the other trucks would be able to. You'd need something to wedge behind. So going for a little drive through the water again. This was just one of those, yeah, sort of tests. Like I say, I probably won't do a full review on this thing. It's sort of covers the basics in this video anyway, of what it can and can't do. As I said, your biggest issue is going to be, can I fit it down the tracks that I've got to drive to do any specific mission, more than will it be able to drive over the terrain. It's extremely likely that it's going to be able to drive over the terrain. And quite nice, you're going through there. I think, did it take a tiny little bit of engine damage, but it sits tall enough that it was nowhere near to the point where it's going to break the engine or anything, so made it over that water, which is pretty nice. Did I put it in low there? I think at some point I just demonstrate how horrifically bad low range was. I bet it was then. And then yeah, put it in auto. Again, you don't hear like a gear change or anything like that, it's just you get more revs. And to be fair, it was close, but it did climb its way up there. I think there was a little glitch there. I think I killed one tree, but yeah, that tree was having none of it. I hit it twice as well, that's why there was a little edit there. Hit that tree because of the mad steering. I didn't mean to go that far over. I mean, I'm not mad about it, but jumped off here. It's quite not hard to pick up speed, but obviously it's just not a rapid truck to begin with. So trying to jump off that section, and yeah, I suppose one of the last little things. This is just kind of showing you how a loaf can improve everybody's life. So I'm driving through a deeper bit of the sea now, where even this thing's going to struggle. You can see its snorkels are pretty much already going under. It's starting to take engine damage. And now I was like, well, maybe if I can keep flooring it, if we get to a shallower bit, which is looking like it's taking less. 12 again. But yeah, long story short, it's obviously going a little bit deeper again now. It's going to take a pretty good chunk of engine damage. Start stalling. And obviously, ordinarily, that would be it. But I've got a goddamn horse of a vehicle with me, so that's never it. Yeah, I was just testing out the zombie winch situation because it's changed a little bit since they've added this thing where you can turn the engine on and off. Stuck a winch now. I was like, what? Like, get it up. Trying to think of what magic word. Yeah, it wasn't moving. Which again, like I said, zombie winching is not quite the same as it used to be. So I was testing out. I thought, right, we'll go repair engine. But I don't think that's going to be the issue. Or, well, you'll see, basically, obviously, when I was driving the truck through the water, its engine was getting damaged because it's underwater. But, got a goddamn horse of a vehicle, fix the engine, stick a winch to this. And now I can make it drive. And it's not taking engine damage. So, long story short, I believe then, if I drove into the water, if I'd not waited until the engine had fully died, I probably just could have started zombie winching a lot quicker. And you say like a goddamn horse, because he's winched from the back, it's kind of pulling his back end down, lifting his front end up, doing like some galloping stallion Ferrari badge pose, but getting his little head out of the water with his little snorkel. So in this case, he is literally an extended snorkel for this truck. And I mean, look at it, it's like a fully submersible truck now. It's beyond submarine truck. See? Goddamn professional. And I admit, zombie winching is not the fastest, but it can get you where other trucks can't get, and then it's pretty handy. Even now, it's like, oh no, Lowe's taking a bit of damage. Again, this is where, to be honest, if I was going to do this again, I'd put the third engine back in just because it has more health. And obviously in this situation, I don't need the engine power, I just need an engine. Well, I had the loaf engine turned on, but I got the autonomous winch, and I'm not sure right now if I could turn the engine off and carry on doing this, but it was working what I'm doing now, so I was like, sod it, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Loaf's found a way, and there you go. That's how you cross deeper water than a truck is capable of. Get yourself a loaf. But yeah, overall, I mean, I'd recommend trying this truck. It's pretty funny, just like I said, for the fact that it's so massive and it kind of shrinks the terrain, relatively speaking. So there's certain areas that you can kind of plough over. I'd still like to see some kind of raised suspension on it. I think it'd be pretty cool. Apart from that, though, and the steering fixed. But yeah, apart from that, it's pretty solid. Like, it's been pretty cool, pretty funny, sort of bombing around in it. You've seen things like jumping over that quarry landslide. There's not many other trucks that would just be able to smash their way over that. There we go, we made it to my island. Again, it'd be cool if there was like more of an Easter egg. I still would like a T-Rex to come flying out the trees, personally. That's still pretty high on my list of things I'd like to see, but will probably never happen. One can dream though. But yeah, like I say, tomorrow I'll probably just get back to some normal, doing contracts, etc. Oh yeah, I also need to do a review. What was it? The HX520. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow then. It'll be a review or maybe one of the contracts or whatever. But yeah, back to normal stuff. But as they've finally added this and I've heard so much about it, I needed to give it a go. But yeah, that's about it for today though. I hope you enjoyed. I hope that helps. Thanks for watching. Thanks to my Patreon members. Get yourself a loaf because he's a beast and I'll be back soon.